The next sequence of videos in the playlist look a bit at reaction at home to President Roosevelt's New Deal policies. He met no resistance from Congress. They passed everything he asked for, despite what a big change this was to really the whole dynamic of the relationship between the United States government, its people, and especially the businesses within the country. When making such changes, of course, he's not going to be without some opposition. And the opposition comes from both the left and the right. So many conservatives are deeply troubled. Despite the emergency that the country was in, many conservatives look and say, Mr. Roosevelt, you were greatly overstepping the bounds of your constitutional authority. The Constitution does not give the government this kind of jurisdiction over businesses. While people to the left of Mr. Roosevelt were saying, Mr. Roosevelt, you're not going nearly far enough. So the next videos will look at those reactions. We have a video about opposition to Roosevelt in general coming from both sides. Then you'll hear from a voice that said, Roosevelt, you're not doing enough. And you'll see how Roosevelt reacted to that criticism and sort of stole some of the ideas from those critics. So you'll hear about the Townsend Plan and how that alternative to Roosevelt's New Deal inspired some of the next steps Mr. Roosevelt would take in his presidency. You'll see about the formation of Social Security, which grew out of the Townsend Plan, and some criticisms of Roosevelt that he himself embraced. You'll meet Father Charles Coughlin, an unlikely but incredibly influential voice in American politics in the 30s, and you'll see a video that puts him in the wider context of the important role that religion played in the 1930s. You do see, after the 1920s saw the introduction of Christian fundamentalism, you do see an increased role for religion in the public sphere in the 1930s and increased religious sentiment among the American people, which often happens when life becomes more difficult and people find fewer and fewer causes to hope in this world. They often turn their hopes to other worlds and other spheres and the spiritual sphere. You'll also meet California's Upton Sinclair and his campaign to end poverty in California, which was like Townsend. Sinclair was critical of Roosevelt for not going far enough, and some of his ideas would greatly impact what Roosevelt would do next. And you'll meet the fascinating character of Huey Long, who Emperor Tigerstar calls the dictator of Louisiana. Well, do we have a state that was ruled by a dictator? Kind of. Huey Long is a fascinating populist blowhard who also makes really positive change for the people of Louisiana and could have been a contender for the presidency if, you'll find out what happened to Huey Long, and after that, I'll be back with you.